I'm making everyone mute. Okay. So it is to like, so if you have any question, you can, raise your hand, or you can, ping me over the chat also. Okay. So I'm muting everyone. All right, guys. So coming to our, advanced sessions. Okay. What we are trying to train you is how your real-time projects will be. Okay. And we are trying to, tell you about how you explain your project in your interviews, as well as how to sustain in your, a real-time job. Okay. Let's say you guys can crack an interview by, studying some questions or something like that. But when we are actually explaining some project, we got stuck into something. Okay. Let me enable my video also, so that you can actually see me. Are you guys able to see me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay. So, I mean, as a MuleSoft developer, okay, you guys already know what is Mule. Okay. So you might heard about RAML, you might heard about, how we are going to create some applications. Okay. Let us say you are gone to some interview. Okay. There they will try to ask you, what is your project? Okay. So they will first, try to ask you, tell me about yourself, and, they will try to ask you what is your roles and responsibilities, and they will try to ask you what is your project. Okay. So if you are learning some Mule, what you will try to do, you will try to add some components to your, application, and you will try to create some, basic applications. Okay. You never know what is your real-time project will be. Now, what we are trying to focus is, we are trying to create some project with you. Okay. And we are trying to focus on most of the things that we are trying to do it in our real-time applications. Okay. And you can ask me, hey, you are trying to tell me how to create this particular project, and you can directly tell this particular project to your interviews. But how come you guys are comfortable with this particular project if you are doesn't know anything new? Okay. So this particular training is focused on who are already trained on Mule, and they know some basics on MuleSoft applications. Okay. And here we are trying to focus on two projects which we captured from the real-time applications. Okay. Which I am also working one of the project. Okay. So before going to that, explaining that particular project, so let me, tell me about myself a bit. Okay. So myself, Amar, and I was working on this particular MuleSoft last 6 years. Okay. So I almost worked on 6 to 7 projects. Okay. And so my experience is not completely on Mule from the moment I started my career. I learned Java, I worked on .NET, okay. I worked on Oracle applications, Oracle ADF applications, okay, and some Spring Boot applications in various organizations, okay. Right now, I was working in some MNC, okay. I should not disclose that particular company as of now, but I was working on some MNC as a team lead for MuleSoft applications, okay. So I will try to tell you, like, the project which I'm trying to deal with it. Okay. And we are trying to create some of the APIs in this particular advanced classes. Okay. So before starting it, anyone knows how the real-time projects will be? I mean, some of the guys will have some understanding. Okay. So I just want to hear you from your perspective. Okay. So before starting anything, so I want to hear from you, like, so how comfortable you are with Mule, and so do you know anything about how your real-time projects will be? You can unmute yourself, and so even if it is wrong, that's fine. Okay. So here we are not going to judge anything, but what I need to understand is, I just want to know your personal assertion, like what is this particular mules of projects and what you need to do inside a project.
Getting the requirements one.
Okay.
If it is design, is designing, and if it is development,
Okay.
and later testing, and later deployment.
Okay, so this is a generalized flow. Okay, so getting requirements, developing the project, and deploying into our whatever the environment that we have. But so are we going to? So let us say I am going to give some simple basic requirement. Let us say I want to develop some API. Okay, so ideally in MuleSoft we are going to develop APIs, right? So in our requirement, so I want to develop some API which is getting some customer data from one of the database. Okay, so in real-time projects, okay, so as a MuleSoft developer, let us say I just listen my Mule basics. What I will try to do, let us say I went to some project. What I will try to do, I will try to create some Mule application and I will drag and drop some database connector. And I will try to create some RAML out of it. Okay. So RAML database connector, and I will try to say, hey, this particular API is complete. Okay. But in your real-time requirements, this is how we are not going to develop. Okay. So we need to aware of much more tools. Okay. And we need to aware of our API-led connectivity, how to give the access, everything we need to understand. Okay. So this is the thing that we are going to focus it in this particular session. Okay. So let me share something so that you can at least understand what we are trying to focus on. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay, so these are the documents that we have. I mean, so whatever we are trying to, create some project. So these are the some of the documents. Okay. So how many of you guys know that there will be some architectural document in your projects? And so if anyone knows what is an architectural document, feel free to share it with me.
The whole development process may be included in the document.
Okay, so the whole development process will be there in the architectural document. Okay.
I mean to say the requirements. That means why we are developing this API to serve what is our need like that.
Okay,
Flows
so
between the APIs and every.
okay, some of the people are saying that hey, we will have some requirements. Okay, what is source, what is target? Okay, and so these kind of stuff will be there in the architectural document. But who creates this particular architectural document?
Architect, functional lead who prepared the FRS document and submitted to developers to develop that.
Okay, so architect is going to design this particular architectural document. Okay.
Scrum Master.
So, Scrum Master is dealing with your development life cycles, but not the Scrum Master. An architect is going to business analyst. Someone is saying that business analyst. Okay, so
As well business requirement.
okay, so who is going to? I mean, so the architect is going to create this particular document. So some of the fellows are saying that. Okay, but how architect is know this particular thing? Okay, so what he needs to, so let us say how he is going to get that particular requirement. Who is the stakeholder for that? Who is actually giving the requirements?
Client.
Okay, so someone is saying that client. Who is this particular client? Client means what?
Customer.
Okay, so customer. Okay, so let us try to understand this particular client and customer. So whenever we are going to some projects, they are saying that, hey, I have my client, I have my customer, something like that. But client and customers are nothing but they are also one of the employees, okay, in a specific organization who are going to give the requirements. Okay, so these requirements clients are giving it and architect is going to capture it. Okay, and they are going to capture it inside this particular architectural document. Whatever we are trying to show it here. So it is nothing but an architectural document. Okay. So this particular architectural document, okay, so we are trying to see it every aspect, guys. Okay, so not only like, just we are trying to develop some APIs. So from end to end, we will try to understand how my project will be and how it needs to be developed and how it needs to be deployed and how it needs to be maintained. Okay, so we are looking at much more documents also. Okay, so let us try to see this particular. So this is one of the project that we are going to explain it. But in this particular thing, we are trying to cover most of the real-time scenarios. Okay, not only just like, creating an API and deploying into cloud. Okay, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create all the standards and through CI/CD pipelines, we are trying to deploy it and unit coverages. Okay, and all the other stuff, your standards. Okay, your document preparation. Okay, and how to understand your requirements, how to manage your requirements through Jira. Okay, how to source versioning your entire source code we are trying to see. Okay, so these are the APIs that we are going to develop in a real-time environment. Okay, so any question about this particular thing? So the moment you are seeing this particular PPT, you will try to get some idea. Okay, so something are you guys able to understand it? So anyone like who are looking at this particular thing, so are you guys able to understand it? What is this particular? Okay, so this is a
Yes,
high
yes.
level.
Hello?
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. What are the downstream system we are using in this project, sir?
Okay, so the moment you are looking at this particular PPT, so what you are able to understand it?
Here we are using MuleSoft to integrate between Salesforce and Oracle database.
Okay, so some of the person is saying that, hey, we are using this particular document. Okay, so this is a high level architectural document and she is able to understand we are creating some API between Salesforce and Oracle. Okay, and we are not talking about one particular API, we're talking about multiple APIs. Okay, so we are having multiple systems, guys. Okay, so in MuleSoft, what we will try to do, we are trying to create some APIs. Okay, so the first question that I will try to ask you, if I'm going to interview any person, what you will try to do it in MuleSoft. Okay, so in MuleSoft, some of the fellows will try to tell me that, hey, we are trying to create some user interfaces. We create some web applications or something like that. They try to tell me, okay, in the interviews. So the moment I ask that particular question, my intention is how you understand MuleSoft. Okay, so if you are claiming that, hey, I'm having 2 years of experience, definitely I will try to understand how good you are in MuleSoft. Okay, and what you are doing in MuleSoft, at least I need to understand it. Okay, so the first question I will try to ask, what you will try to do it in MuleSoft? What generally we will try to do it in MuleSoft?
We'll try to create the APIs.
Okay, so yeah, so we will try to create some APIs. Okay, so one good answer. What else we are trying to create?
Are connecting to end systems.
We are trying to connect to end systems. Okay, yeah, that is also fine. So what are the other answers?
Data integration.
Okay, data integration. This is also one of the good answer. Okay, so guys, it is not just like, we are attending some demo or some free session or something. Yeah, go on.
Picking
It's
up-
a middleware integration tool to connect multiple big system, you can say, like ERP, Salesforce, and publish the data to end user.
Okay,
Picking
yeah, go on. Yeah.
Picking up the data from the source and transforming the data according to the target organization and inserting that data to the target.
Okay, so
we are
Yeah, okay.
we are enabling two like multiple systems to communicate each other, being a middleware
Okay,
application.
so being a middleware application, we are trying to connect two end systems. Okay,
Yeah,
so
transferring the data,
fine.
connecting the data. And
Okay, connecting data and transforming the data. See, everything is correct, yes. But what, as an interviewer, what I'm trying to expect you is a simplified answer. Okay, that the person who is attending the interview, so he needs to give the simplified answer. Okay, and it will give me some idea. Hey, in MuleSoft, I'm trying to do this particular. Okay, so in MuleSoft, what we are trying to create, we are creating APIs. Okay, what is meant by API? Okay, so API is nothing but some fellows will tell, hey, API is a web service. Okay, some fellow will tell me, hey, API is a RESTful service. Some fellow will tell me SOAP service. Okay, so the real definition of API is nothing but you are transforming some of the objects from one particular source to another system. Okay, so we will transforming the data. Okay, so whether it is HTTP, whether it is JMS or any other protocol, I don't care about it. An API is nothing but it is transforming some data from one particular system to the other particular system. Okay, so that is what I call it as APIs. We are trying to create those APIs in our MuleSoft. Okay, some APIs what we will try to create will create using HTTP request. Okay, sometimes what we will try to use, we will try to create JMS. Sometimes we will use Salesforce connector, some other thing. Okay, different protocols we are trying to use it in our MuleSoft. Okay, see, and one more thing, generally they will try to ask you, hey, what is an ESP? Okay, so is MuleSoft is an ESP?
Yes.
Okay, so how come
Enterprise
I
service.
will call MuleSoft is an ASP? Why we are calling MuleSoft is an ASP? So first of all, we need to understand what is an ESP, right? Okay, so what is an
ESP
ESP?
means Enterprise Service Bus,
Okay, so by
which
definition,
is
an
basically
ESP
a
is
middleware tool.
okay. So someone is saying that it is basically a middleware tool. Okay, enterprise service bus.
Integrating various applications together over a bus like infrastructure.
Okay, so it is connecting a different systems. Okay, over a bus. Someone is saying over a bus. Okay, that's fair enough. What are the other definitions that we can give? Anyone, guys? Okay, so it is not just like demo. Okay, so it is more or less trying to understand what we are trying to do it in MuleSoft. Okay, so if we know what we are trying to do it in MuleSoft, we can explain to the interviewer that, hey, I have done this thing, right?
It is the interaction between APIs what we have created.
Okay, so it will be something like interaction between two
channel,
systems.
Channel
okay,
between,
through a channel. Okay, what else? Okay, fine. So let me tell you this.
Can I?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
ESP is a lightweight Java-based enterprise service bus integration platform to allows development to connect applications.
Okay, so ESP is nothing but a Java lightweight, some application which is interacting with two applications. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
To be precise, that ESP should not be a Java application. Okay. So let us say we have some other ESPs also other than Mule. What all other ESPs we have? We have Delbumi, we have Tipco, we have Talent. Okay. What else? So Oracle, so or something like that. We already have. But these things are really implemented in Java. Everything? Not really. Okay. They are not related to or strictly not related to Java. So it is any application which is giving us some option to integrate between multiple applications. Okay, what is this particular multiple applications? Okay, so we know ESP is connecting two dots. Okay, what is these endpoints? Okay, so this particular endpoint is anything. Okay, so whether it is a database, okay, some other software application, okay, some other SMTP server, some SMS gateway, anything. What we are trying to do is we're trying to create some integration between these systems. Okay, and ESB needs to provide some capability that whatever the software I'm trying to use it, I need to connect to that particular. Okay, so this is a real ESP needs to connect to multiple systems without writing any kind of code. Okay, some ESPs will try to write it code. Even in our Mule ESP, we will try to write some scripting. What is that particular scripting? We'll try to write some code or something like that.
Yeah, data wave.
Data view. Okay, so the moment you guys are joining, we will say, hey, yeah, it doesn't have any code. You can join whatever the competency you have, or you will have in a different, domain. Okay, you are in teaching domain. You can easily, create applications in MuleSoft. We will try to tell that. But once you are into some, classes, we'll try to tell you something like database scripts or something like that. At that time, you will wonder, hey, this guy told me that there is no coding or nothing. Then again, this guy is teaching something, right? So the data wave scripts or whatever the scripting is just like, mapping. It is not a code, guys. Okay. So it is just like we're trying to point, hey, this particular field, we need to map it to this particular field. Okay. See, we are obviously what we are trying to create, we are creating data services between one system to the other system. Okay. So we need to tell that, hey, this particular system data, I need to pass it to this particular field. Right. So that thing we are trying to map it using database. Okay. So you can ask me, hey, even Oracle Sova or some other software tools have a similar kind of thing. Yes, they do have. Okay. See, ultimately, any ESB will have this particular thing. Okay. So don't, too surprised that the moment you are seeing database. Okay. Any ESB you are looking at, so they will have this particular thing, because what we are trying to do, we are transforming some data to one system to the other system. Okay. So let us say one of the system will have something like customer name. Okay. My end system, which I'm passing it will only have some other thing. Okay. A name or something. So I need to map it, right? So that's why we are trying to write down this particular data. Okay. And coming to our original thing. So we have saying that Mule is an ESB and we are trying to create some APIs in Mule. Okay. What kind of connectors we are trying to use it generally, in general? So obviously, if you are coming to some interview, I will try to ask you this particular question. So what kind of connectors you are mostly familiar with? What kind of connectors?
Database,
File connectors,
Salesforce,
HTTP connectors.
Salesforce.
Okay, database, Salesforce. What else?
JMS.
file connectors,
JMS.
VM connectors.
VM connectors. Okay, SFTP connector. Okay. But, okay, so I'll tell you one thing. Okay, maybe you guys might surprise. Do you guys know HTTP request run listener? You guys know?
Yeah.
HTTP listener is listening the data and request to another API, calling for the another API.
Another API. Okay, so HTTP requester, HTTP listener, you guys know. Listener is, we are trying to create RESTful APIs. HTTP request is whenever external system is a RESTful API, we will try to call it. Okay, but let us say in a
సరే మీరు ఇందాక ఏం చెప్పారంటే అది సార్ వాలిడేషన్ ఎలా చేస్తారు సార్ అంటే మ్యాపింగ్
bit by bit అవుతుంది. Okay, so validations ఎలా చేస్తాం అన్నది, so I'll try to tell you. Okay, but at least ఇక్కడ మనం అర్థం చేసుకోవాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, అసలు మీరు ఒక పర్టికులర్ ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు, so what they are trying to expect, so that we are trying to understand. Okay, the validation part and other things we will try to explore it later on. Okay, now how many of that HTTP requester is, how much percentage they might use it? Let us say I have 100 APIs, okay, in a particular project. How many APIs will be on HTTP requester? Just tell me. Your basic understanding. I mean, so just a manual guess. Anything?
Almost all.
Almost all. Okay. So, okay. And so if I only use HTTP requester, why we are using a database connector, why we are learning Salesforce connectors and other things?
Maybe internally we are calling one API to another API. In that scenario, also we would require HTTP requester.
Yeah, one good, very good answer. Like what she is saying is, hey, internally we will try to call our projects only. So we will try to use the HTTP requester. That is also fine. Okay. So somewhere we are trying to use the HTTP requester. Okay. Yeah. Go on. Some other person is telling something.
All our portals.
All our portals. Okay. See, let me tell you guys. Okay. So if you are into some
domain project la kuda cheyochu sir.
Okay, so someone is saying that, hey, we can create domain projects also. But let me tell you one thing. So can we deploy anything domain projects in Cloud Hub? Do we have domain projects in Cloud Hub?
No, we can't.
No, we can't, right?
We can't. Yes.
See, let us say, let us take this particular domain project also. I have something like, I worked on, let us say like 6 different clients. Okay. Out of which only one client will have on-premises server. Okay. Which means that only that client can use this particular domain project. All rest of the 5 people are using the Cloud Hub environment, which means that they don't use the domain project at all. Right. So, which means that domain project is literally 20%. Okay, with whatever I have worked on. Okay, the same way, how much of percentage I have worked on HTTP listener or your HTTP requester basically, which means that my external system is providing some RESTful APIs. Then only I can use my HTTP requester to call that particular RESTful API, right? So if I have 100 APIs, how much percentage this particular HTTP requester? Do you guys, at least, assume that there will be something like 90% of your RESTful APIs. Okay. Why RESTful APIs? Because all of your modern technologies, okay, you will take Oracle, you will take Salesforce, okay, Salesforce will have some dedicated connector, okay, but even Salesforce will have dedicated connector. What we have is we can still call Salesforce using RESTful APIs, HTTP request. And do you know, in our SOAP, okay, so let us say one of my end system is exposing SOAP. Okay, so to call my SOAP service, what we are trying to use? Which connector? Anyone?
Web service connector.
Okay, so there is something like web service consumer connector will be there to call our SOAP services. Okay.
A request, HTTP request also you can call.
Okay, yeah, someone is saying that even HTTP request also we can use it to call our SOAP services. Okay, this is true, guys. Okay, just a moment, let me mute.
Sir, background noise causing the audio.
All right, fine. So even if we want to call some SOAP services, we can still use HTTP request. Okay, so what we need to use is we need to use simple header, which is SOAP action. Okay, which means that whatever you are learning in your MuleSoft fundamentals or basic training, okay, we need to understand how much percentage we are actually using in our real-time process. Okay, which one we are mostly concentrate on. Okay, and what about the Salesforce connector and database connector? They still do have this particular connectors. Okay, but the percentage of this particular APIs are comparatively less when you are comparing with your HTTP request. Okay, and how many of you guys know what is a API-led connector? Anyone knows API-led connector? Yeah, so
process API and
theoretically,
experience API.
yeah, theoretically we know there is a process API, there is a system API, and what else? Experience API we have it. Okay. So the moment I'm saying that, hey, tell me about some API-led connectivity, you will try to give this particular 3 things. Okay. Experience API, system API, these things you will try to tell. but how your real-time projects will use this particular API like that? Do you know anything?
Client what need to some process API.
What we are
system API.
connecting in the system, so that is a system API.
Based
And we
on our
are sending
requirement.
to mobile or web, that is
Calling and
experience API.
We will not
Sometimes two
directly
APIs.
expose the raw data. So we develop a system API upon databases. So multiple system APIs and process.
Okay, so someone is saying that, hey, we will not expose the data directly, so we will try to create some wrappers. Okay, so let me show this particular API. Just a moment. So we are talking about the first API, guys. Okay, so SFDC to OSDC, the first I-131 we are trying to talk about. Okay, so this is my that particular API architectural document. Okay, so you are able to see it, right? So what is this particular experience API and why we are using system API in this particular? Okay, this is how your real-time API you need to develop this. Okay, so this is somewhat you will try to get it from your architect. Whenever I'm saying, hey, create this particular API. So I'm trying to give this particular as a, okay. What do you mean by this particular system API and this particular experience API? Why we are creating this particular entire structure?
In some scenarios, we didn't want to develop the experience APIs by connecting to databases or anywhere. We didn't want the experience APIs.
My question is why we are having this particular kind of structure. Okay, so I'm saying in real-time APIs,
Okay,
they will try to give
to
you something like
improve
this.
the readability and maintenance, and if we have any issue with some API, it don't interrupt the complete work. So in that manner, we are using this 3-layer process.
Okay, so someone is
Want to add any other end
we're trying
system?
to use the 3-layer process. Okay, but see, whenever you are in
And also
some,
we're using the reusable purpose also.
okay, so someone is saying reusability also. Okay, so I'll tell you one thing. So even if you are
In this
going to
case,
any other project, there will be something like 99% you will try to create with API-led architecture only. Okay, out of 99% of your APIs, we will try to use this particular architecture. Not even APIs, you can say projects. Okay, if someone is saying, okay, if I'm asking some person who is attending interview, if he is saying that, hey, we are not using API-led architecture, I have some doubt on that particular project. Okay, so whatever the project that you are trying to explain, try to explain it using API-led architecture. Okay, so what you will have in your API-led architecture, we have 3 layers. One is system layer, the second one is experience layer, and the third one is process layer. When we are using this particular system API experience API, okay, see, in system API, you will try to interact with the external system. Okay, so here what we are trying to do, we are trying to interact with what? SFDC to OSDC. Okay, so what does this mean? SFDC to OSDC.
Salesforce database to Oracle.
Okay, so some Salesforce is trying to what? Post some data back to some Oracle system. Okay, so in this particular scenario, what we will try to have, my system API is nothing but my Oracle system. Okay, what is my experience API? So I'm going to create a project for my Salesforce system. Okay, so my Salesforce application will try to interact with my experience API, and from the experience API, what I will try to call my system API. Okay, so in system API, what you will try to do, you will try to create only connectivity. Okay, so which connectivity we will try to write it? So I'm trying to connect to my OSDC system. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am trying to create some connectivity inside this particular system. Okay. So any transformation logic or anything, so I will try to write it in my integration, your experience API. Okay. What about process API? Okay. So let us try to see some process API also, so we can understand. Okay. So something like process API, we will have it, something like that. So you can ask me, hey, why we don't have experience API in this thing? Okay. So whenever someone is asking, in which case you will try to use process API. Okay. So this is for your interview perspective, guys. Okay. So in process API, what we will try to write, see any other system. Okay. So let us say I have some API, I need to pass some data to multiple endpoints or multiple systems. Okay. In that case, I will have a process API. Okay. The second case where we will have this particular process API is if my application is triggering by some scheduler. Okay. We will have scheduler, right? Or component, mules of component scheduler will be having. So if we are using scheduler, we will try to use the process. Okay. So don't confuse with this particular thing. See, whenever you are explaining, generally what we will try to ask you is, hey, try to explain some API, whatever you have developed in your project. We'll try to ask. Okay. I want to understand, are you guys are able to tell me the whole API story using this particular API-led connectivity or not? We will try to understand. Okay. So if you are saying that, hey, I used API-led connectivity, I have my system API, I have my process API. Okay. If you are telling like this, okay, generally most of the APIs will have one experience API, one system API. Okay. So let us say in this particular case, what we are trying to have, this particular case, what we are passing, some account information we are trying to pass it. Okay, so if you are looking at my screen, what we are trying to do, we are getting some account information from what? SFDC. Who needs that particular data? Mobility system needs this particular data. Okay, so if you are trying to explain this particular API, what you need to tell is, hey, I have my system API for my Salesforce SFDC. So this particular thing we are talking about SCA1002. Why? Because this is the target system of this particular API. Okay. So for my target system, what I will have, a system API will have it. Okay. And what is my experience of the API will have? What is this? Source system. Okay. Source system will have some experience API. You need to tell this particular thing. I have my experience API for my source. I have my system API for my target. Okay. And so this particular thing you need to tell it. Okay, what about this particular thing? Why we have this particular thing? We have something like PA000117, something is there, right? So what is this? It is a process API. Okay, why process API? So if any error is coming up, what we are trying to do, we are trying to push it to Splunk and we are trying to push it to some database. Okay, what we are trying to do, the same payload, we are trying to pass it to two end systems. That's why we have a process API. Okay, so it is not only like, your project guys. Okay, so whenever you are explaining anything in your interviews, hey, so you will try to say, hey, I created some API between, let us say some, Oracle system to some other Salesforce system or SFDC to SAP. So you need to tell them, the interviewer, that, hey, for my SAP system, I have a system API. For my SFDC system, I have a experience API. Okay, so we created this particular API-led architecture. You need to tell me that thing, guys. Okay, so before telling this, if they are asking where you got this particular requirement, what you need to tell? You got your requirement from your architect. Okay, so where you are going to define this particular, entire requirement is your architectural document as well as your data mapping. What is this particular data mapping? Anyone knows about this thing? Let us say I want to just take this particular thing. What we are trying to do, we are trying to deal with our account information from mobility to SFDC. Okay, so here you're getting some account information from Salesforce. Okay, what kind of fields you need to get it, where we are going to define it? We are going to define it in our data mapping sheet. Okay. So when I'm asking you, hey, try to create this particular API, what I will try to give you is both the data mapping sheet as well as this particular architectural document. So let us try to show you how this particular data mapping sheet will be. Okay. So let me open this thing. Which one we are trying to understand? Mobility to SFTC. Yeah, this is the one. You guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
You're able to, right? Okay, so this is how your data mapping sheet will be, guys. Okay, so they will try to give this particular requirement. So whenever you are into some project, they will try to give you this particular information. So if I'm creating, hey, create some API between this particular system, what I need to do? I need to pass some data from one particular system to some other system. Okay, so in that particular data, what is there, I need to tell, right? So this is how they are going to define this thing. Any question, Jyoti or Nagesh? Okay, fine. Okay. Sorry, yeah. Any question you can, feel free to ask, guys. Okay, so someone is pinging me. Okay.
So as you mentioned, yeah, one question. As you
Okay.
mentioned, that experience API is connected for the source, and that process system API is given the target. So may I know why we connect the source from process API? Like, is this a architecture? I know, but this is a silly question. But I want to know why we need to connect the source with process API.
Okay, so why we are not going with process API, right?
Yes.
Okay, see, earlier I told you, right? So a process API, I will try to use, see, as an architect, okay, I will try to use only process API when my API is triggered by scheduler. This is the first case. The second case is, if I want to pass the payload to a definite multiple systems, I will follow the process API. Okay, so these two cases majorly we will try to follow the process API. Okay, see, ideally there is no such technical thing, guys. Okay, so we can use the process API also, but as per my MuleSoft understanding, they define something. Hey, if you are doing orchestration, go with process API. Okay, so if you are going with some scheduler, no one is triggering your event, go with process API. This is my definite standards that we are following in most of the projects. Okay, so if there is a definite process, so much of transformation we are doing, so much of orchestration that we are doing, so we will try to do it in process API. If it is a simple API, which I'm trying to get some data from external system, what I will try to do, I will only have one experience API, one system API. Okay. So whenever you are pushing it to, so some fellows will have something like publisher subscriber model. So do you guys know what is a pub sub model? We will have something like JMS things, right?
Yes.
In
Yes.
ActiveMQ,
So in that
using this
case,
model.
what we will have, we have a process API. Why we have process API? So someone is putting some message into some message queue. Okay, I need to subscribe that thing. So no one is triggering it. They are simply pasting it somewhere. Okay, so somewhere, so we will see something like FTP also. Okay, they will have some file location. They will put a file over there. Okay, in that case also, what I will try to do, I will use a scheduler when to pick that particular file. In this case also, I will have a process. So what is your API is designed. So we will try to define whether I need to have a process API or not. Okay. So in this case, I have a process API. What is this particular process API? It is dealing with the errors. Okay. Whenever there is an error appeared, so I need to call this particular API so that what it is trying to do, it is trying to pass it to two different systems, two different system APIs. Okay, so this is how you need to explain to your interviews guys. Okay, so whenever you are explaining any API, try to explain it using your API led architecture. Okay. And how you are going to get your requirement? You will get your requirement using your architectural document as well as what is the data fields that you need to pass it. So where you will get it in your data mapping sheet. Okay. So let me open my data mapping sheet. So this is the account ID that I'm going to get it as a source to extract the account information. These are the fields I'm trying to get it from SFTC, Salesforce system. Okay. What I need to convert? I need to convert this particular name to something like this. Okay. This is the transformation that I need to do it in my experience API. Okay. So this particular things we will try to, explain in a clear detail in the upcoming sessions. Okay. But as per this particular thing, what I want to give you is some rough idea how your actual projects, how your APIs are built. Okay. And so do you guys know what is a Jira?
Ticketing tool.
Yeah,
The ticketing.
requirement getting analyzing tool.
All right. So
They are giving the requirements,
Jira,
developing the APIs.
sorry, Jira is actually develop. We can say that completely development. Follow development. We can say. Follow.
Okay.
Their
So
stories, they are following.
okay, so who are already working on some technology, they already know that what is this particular purpose of Jira. Okay. So some fellows will not know what is this particular Jira. So it is a project management tool. Okay. So we are trying to create some tasks in this particular Jira and we are trying to assign it to our developers. Okay. So we are trying to create this particular Jira task. Okay. So whenever we are trying to explain this particular project, we are trying to explain it using Jira. We are trying to explain it using our Bitbucket also. What is this particular Bitbucket? Anyone tell me?
Central repository.
Yeah, it is a repository. Okay, so let me open my Git bucket. Okay, so we are having something like this. Okay, so in this particular workspace, I have my APIs. Okay, so many of you thought that, hey, if I'm joining a project, what I will have only one repository. In that, I will have all the experience APIs, all the system APIs. But in your real-time projects, what it will be, so every project will have dedicated repository. Okay, so if I have an experience API, I have a dedicated repository. Okay, they will not combine everything into one repository and they will put it into them. Okay, so these kind of things we will try to understand it. So as per process, whatever the things that we are trying to do it inside our projects, okay, we'll try to explain in that way only. Okay, we will try to take Jiras, we'll try to create the Jiras, we will try to create branches. Okay, how to create pull requests, what are the things that we need to understand as a standards, we'll try to focus on in this particular upcoming sessions. Okay, but as a suggestion, okay, if you guys are going to some interviews, okay, mostly you can't explain your project. That is the first thing that you are lacking. Okay, the second thing is, if you are cracking your job, once you are into some company, you are not able to work it anywhere. Okay, you don't know how to do this particular process, how to get the requirements. Okay, what are the things where you need to start it. So all these things we are trying to cover it in this particular upcoming sessions. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to create two different projects. Okay, so we are trying to implement those projects. Okay, and you can put it as your real-time projects. Okay, you can explain those projects like, hey, I have done this particular thing. So I created this particular APIs. Okay, the moment you are creating something like a 10 to 15 APIs, you get familiar with how your real-time projects will. Okay, and this is my confidence that, see, without this particular process, none of the projects will be there. Okay, so they might use Jira, sometimes they will use some other tool, but the process is one and the same. So they will try to assign some requirement to you. Okay, they will try to push some documents to you. Okay, you need to handle that particular document, and after creating this particular, let's say you developed some experience API, you system API. Okay, what you will try to do, you will try to deploy it in this something Cloud Hub. Okay, so which tools we will try to use it for deploying?
Jenkins.
Azure.
Manual.
Okay, so someone is saying
Maven.
CACD, someone saying Git, someone saying Jenkins. What is the correct one?
Maven.
In manual,
Okay,
any point
so
platform we will do.
CIC. Continuous
okay,
integration
any
continuous.
point platform also. So I'm talking about the tools that we are using in our real-time projects.
We can deploy from any point.
Jenkins and Maven. We can.
Okay, so someone is
Jenkins.
saying Jenkins, someone is saying something else. Okay, so we are trying to use the CA/CD tools, guys. Okay, so the Jenkins is correct one.
And also
Okay, Azure
AWS
DevOps
also.
is correct one. Okay, your urban deploy is correct one. See, every project will try to use a specific set of tools. Okay, but if you are saying that, hey, I worked on something, I have worked on some real-time project, at least one of the tool you need to know. Okay, how to configure that. Okay, how to configure your Jira, how to move that particular task to different steps. All these things that you need to practice. Okay, so whether you guys are continuing with this particular session or not, okay, but at least what you need to understand is try to learn Jira. Okay, try to learn one of the CI/CD pipeline, whether it is Jenkins or your Azure DevOps. Okay, you need to understand Bitbucket and Git. Okay, without this, don't go to any project. Okay, you will not only create problems for your code, you will create problems for the others code also. Okay, whether you know MuleSoft or not, I'm not concerned about it. At least you guys need to understand this particular Git, guys. Okay, Bitbucket and Git, try to learn it, because none of the projects will not have this particular, without this particular tool or Git, there will be no projects. Okay, so sometimes they will try to use SVN or some other tool. Okay, but 98% they will try to use the Git, all the major projects. Okay, and the other things that you need to understand is what is a Cloud Hub, how we are going to deploy Cloud Hub. Okay, so at least you need to understand what is this particular design center, Exchange, API manager, runtime manager. So this particular process flow you need to understand. Okay, so I'll try to tell this particular process flow. I mean, so as a developer, where I need to start it, where I need to end it. So I'll try to tell you tomorrow. But so I'm just stopping this particular thing. But I'm just leaving it to for your questions. Yes.
I had one question regarding as we discussed about API-led connectivity. I faced one question. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, so we had a payload which we need not to transform, as the target and source system is having same format. So we had some payload. We use process API and system API. Do we need to use experience API?
See, as a API standpoint, okay, process API we will not directly expose it to the external system. Okay,
Yes.
so any external system which is interacting with our APIs, it should be through experience APIs. Okay, so this is the fundamental rule that we are going to follow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
experience layer is must in this case.
Yeah, experience API we will try to create. Okay,
Yeah.
so if they are creating a process API, which means that experience API is putting something like not a direct interaction or request response code. It would be something like pasting it in a JMS or file protocol or some other protocol which is doesn't have a request response. Okay, in that case only as an architect I'm going to develop. Okay, so there will be some cases where some people will try to develop it, but that is not as per standard. So as per standard, whenever there is an external system, it will interact with only experience APIs. Okay, so this is your fundamental of your MuleSoft.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, mainly commonly used
Angular
every
page
event
name.
here. How to secure the APIs and how to handle the errors.
Okay, so how to secure the APIs, how to handle the errors. Okay, so
Yes,
it
yes.
is a major topic, guys, but at least if you are going to some interview, okay, so do you guys know what is a client application? No, so I'm talking about client application. a client ID, client secret policy, we will try to create it, right?
Yes, yes, and API manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go
So
to the
how
API
this particular this particular client ID, client secret, how we are going to create it? So let me explain it in this way. Okay. So you are able to see my screen, right? It is for everyone understanding, guys. Okay. So even if it is boring, just try to hold it up. Okay. I'll try to explain it this way. See, what we will try to have is, I have my this thing. My experience API is this one. My system API is this one. Okay. So what I have something like SFDC system is my experience API. Okay. So this is something like a mobility system API. So from mobile database, we are trying to extract something. Okay. Just a moment. This is mobility system API. So how we are going to create some security. Okay. So in general, what we will try to do, this particular experience API needs to interact with this particular system API. Okay. So in real time, what we will try to do is, see, when we are dealing with our MuleSoft development classes, what we will try to tell you is, hey, for this one, we will try to create some client application. Okay. That particular client ID, client secret, we will try to configure it here. Okay. But in real time, we will not configure something like this. What we will try to do is, we are trying to create a client application in this layer, experience layer. We will try to create a client application, and we will give the access to this particular thing, this particular mobility system API. Why? Because the same experience API, it will try to call multiple system APIs, guys. Okay. So if I want to create a client application here, I need to maintain in an experience API, I need to maintain 20, 30 client ID, client secrets. Okay. So in real time, how we are going to create? I will create a one client application, and that particular client application, I will give the access to multiple system APIs. Okay. And you can ask me, hey, this particular client application, are we going to give it to external system? We will not give it. What we will try to do, we'll try to create one more client application. Okay. So one more client application we will create it. What we call it as external client application. External client application we will try to create, and this particular client application only it will have. Okay. This is how we are going to provide the security. So with this particular client application, the SFDC team only can call experience API. They can't call system APIs. They don't have access. Okay. Who is having access? Our internal client application will have the access. Okay. So this is one of the crucial step. Okay. By specifying, so if I'm trying to assess my developer, okay, who is going to join recently, the moment he creating this particular client application also, I can say that whether he has the real-time, experience or not. The moment I see that, I can tell them. Okay. So just before few hours, I have similar issue. One of my developer is creating a client application for my experience API, and he created for everything. So he gave the access to all the system APIs. The same client application, he give it to external team also. If he is giving this particular client application, what they can do? They can access the system APIs also. So which means that I'm providing, I'm destroying my security at this particular level, which means that I'm creating a one client application and I'm giving it everything, and I'm giving it to external system. It doesn't mean that you're providing security. You're providing all the access to external system. Okay. So what we will try to do, we'll try to create two external application. One is external application, one is internal application. Okay. So this is how we are going to configure. See, your fundamental classes is different, and your real-time requirements and your real-time experience is different. Okay. So every level we will try to do it. So some fellows, they will try to come into projects. They will try to add some auto discovery, and they will try to run in local system. It will not work. Okay. So they don't. Sorry. Okay. So these kind of issues, normally they will try to showcase us. Okay, they will try to come to us. Hey, I'm trying to deploy my application in local, so it is not deploying.
Please unmute.
So it is giving something like 503 error. Okay, the root cause of that particular issue is something like. Just a moment, guys. Don't unmute yourself if you don't have any question. Okay, so there is a lot of disturbance. Okay, so whenever you are going to some projects, real-time projects, try to disable your auto discovery. Okay, why? Because if you are enabling your auto discovery and you are trying to run your application, it will not run. Okay, these kind of things that we need to understand: how to maintain your Jira, how to maintain your Bitbucket. Okay, what are the documents that you need to create it? What are the standards that you need to follow? So everything we will try to cover it in this particular sessions. Okay, so we will try to create a security profile, which we are going to expose it to external applications by using a external client application. Okay, internal things we will have a internal client application. Okay, so this thing we will try to focus more in our projects when we are discussing about projects. Any other question, guys?
If my mule application is in process, in the middle it is crashed. I need to get the data. How I will get the data? Okay,
so what he is asking is, he has some MuleSoft application. In middle, its application is crashed, and he want to retrieve that particular data. Okay, so if someone is asking this particular question in your interview, your answer would be reliable pattern. Okay, so what we are trying to use is, we are trying to use the JMS or AnyPoint MQ, guys. Okay, so if it is a request response scope, if you are logging it before processing your data, it will be there, but the bare minimum solution is reliable pattern. Okay, so if someone is asking this particular question, your answer should be reliable pattern, which is rely on your JMS patterns. Okay, so it is a bigger concept.
Why should not the object store and persistent for the same?
Yeah, so persistent object stores, generally object stores, we will try to store it for key value pairs, not for this particular reliable pattern. Object store will have a different use case altogether. Okay, so whenever we want to store something in object store, even our application is crashed, we still have that particular thing. Okay, but object store will have some restrictions, and we will not store any payload inside object stores. Okay, so we will try to store it as a reliable pattern. This is why JMS will have. Okay, so yeah.
What happened when we use multiple JVM in a single server?
Multiple JVMs in a single server.
Yes.
Okay, so there is something like Hazel memory. So this will happen when you host your application in your this thing on-premises servers. Okay. Sorry. Okay. See, guys. See, these things are not like I could not explain it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, so these are dedicated topics, and we are trying to cover those things in our ongoing sessions. Okay, so if you really want to learn about these things, maybe tomorrow I will try to capture some time. Okay, maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes. You can ask those concepts if you really want to know that. Okay, but to maintain your multiple instances in your on-premises server, there is something like a Hazel memory concept is there, where your JVM memory is shared. Okay, so any object stores or any scheduler information, we will try to store it over. Okay, so if someone is asking, what is this particular thing? Multiple JVMs in a single system. Hazel memory is your answer, and you need to explain that. Okay, so what is a Hazel memory? How to configure it? But generally, we will not configure it. Who is going to configure these things? So what is your role in your, when you are going to 2 years of experience, what is your role? Which role you are going? You are going for a developer role. Okay. So these configurations, who is going to do it? Your platform team admin is going to configure it. But if you are giving some answer related to that, so the question who is asked that particular question, he is more happy for. Okay. All right.
Sir,
Yes,
one
I'm you.
question.
Hello.
Sir, is it mandatory to use RAML for all experience API and system API?
Okay, so let me ask you one thing. I have a process API which is having scheduler. Can I, do I really need a RAML for that?
No, sir, not required there.
Not required, to be frank, right? Whatever the,
Yes,
so first thing, RAML, what is the definition, RAML?
RESTful API modeling language.
RESTful API modeling. So this is comes when you are dealing with your RESTful APIs. Okay. So this is somewhat tricky question, but you need to stick to the basics. When you are creating a RAML, it is a RESTful API. If you are exposing your application using a SOAP, you don't require a RAML at all. You need a SOAP. Okay. So SOAP Visible we will try to use. Okay. So if it is as integration API or a scheduler we are trying to use it, you don't require a RAML. So they will try to ask you, hey, have you created any API without RAML? Okay. Your answer should be, if you created a process API using a scheduler, you don't require a RAML. Okay. Or if you are creating an experience API using SOAP, you don't require RAML. Okay. By Visible, you can create it. Yeah, guys.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir,
right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a doubt. Sir, నేను validations అన్ని కూడా database లో రాసాను సార్.
ఓకే.
యాక్చువల్లీ ఇప్పుడు మనం ఏంటంటే సార్ ఇప్పుడు ఒక మ్యాండేటరీ ఫీల్డ్ ఉంది. అక్కడ ఉన్న ఎంటీ స్ట్రింగ్ సంథింగ్ ఏం డేటా ఇవ్వకుండా దానికి మ్యాండేటరీ ఫీల్డ్ అని చెప్పేసి ఒక ఎర్రర్ రైజ్ చేశాను సార్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు అది ఎంటీగా ఉంది అనుకోండి సార్, ఒక ఎర్రర్ రైజ్ చేస్తాను. అదే విధంగా అది డేటాబేస్లో నేను రాసాను సార్. సంథింగ్ ఆ రికార్డ్ని ఇప్పుడు నేను సిస్టమ్కి పాజ్ చేసేటప్పుడు బ్యాచ్ జాబ్ యూజ్ చేస్తాను కదా సార్. ఇప్పుడు బ్యాచ్ స్టెప్లో నేను ఎటువంటి ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ రాయాలి, యాక్సెప్ట్ ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ ఏం రాయాలి?
Okay, so whenever you are doing your validations in your batch step, okay, so the simplest and cleanest way is try to create some virtual field, okay, validator or something, some validate field, okay, and try to map that. Ante ee particular record meeku valid kada ani set cheyandi. Okay, in your batch step, next batch step, accept expression lo you can specify that particular thing. Payload dot that particular validate field. If it is true, which means that that particular record is validated, it will come to your batch step. This is the easiest and simplest way that we can use it. Or you can do one more thing. You can raise an exception in your data weave also by using fail expression. Okay, you need to import your core utils and you need to use FAIL fail expression. It will automatically raise your custom exception. So this particular, if you are raising a custom exception in your preceding batch step, your next batch step, try to accept only successful records. Your failure record will not appear out. Okay. Does it answer your question?
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
I have one question. Usually we call one API to another API. We can use HTTP request, right? So already you mentioned 100 API is something you have taken some example, right? May I know the answer for that? Like, for example, 100 APIs. So how many we need, how many HTTP requests? Is it one or how many?
No, so the real question is, you will create experience APIs, you will create system APIs, right? In your real-time projects. But if you ideally ask me how many APIs will be there in system APIs, ideally we will have something like 25 to 30 APIs. APIs in the sense a different resource paths, okay, or methods. So in any requirement, I can't call 100 APIs in sequential or using our process API. No process will define like that. Okay. So in real-time use case, you don't have this particular requirement at all. But if you want to call your system APIs in your experience API, we will try to use this particular HTTP request component only. Okay. So your system API calls are designated using HTTP request only. None of the requirement will have call multiple or 100 different system APIs or something like that. It is unrealistic, API, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I mean, so as per my knowledge, I have worked on 6 different projects. Okay, something like they might be 100 APIs. I try to develop it. None of the time, so I will not call more than 3 system APIs in a process API in general. Okay, so there were some requirements where you will try to call 5 to 6 different APIs. Which scenario? When you are trying to create some comparison web services, where you need to try to get, let us say you are using something like 99 mobiles or something. So what it will try to do, it will try to get the quotations from all websites, Amazon, Flipkart, and everything. So in that particular case, what we will try to use, we'll try to use scatter gather generally, right? So even in that case, it will be limited to 10 to 20 systems, not like 100 or something like that. Okay, so for every external system, we will try to have a system API, and that particular system API, we will try to call it in our process API. Okay, so in this scenario, what we will try to use, we will try to use the scatter gather. Okay, so whenever they are saying parallel processing, so keep your mind stick to scatter gather, and what is the other component? Parallel processing. Anyone?
Parallel for each. Reach and
Okay, parallel for each. Okay, cool. Okay, so at least you guys know what are the components and why we are using that. Okay, so you just need some grooming where you need to connect this particular dots. Okay, how your real requirement or how you are getting your requirements and how you are achieving this particular requirements. Okay, see, cracking your interview in MuleSoft is easy, guys, when you are able to explain your project using API-led connectivity. Okay, so try to explore that thing. Okay, so and try to explore the other tools also. Okay, even if you are not coming to the next sessions, at least my advice is try to check your API-led connectivity and try to explain your project in that manner to your interviewers. So it is easy for them to understand that, hey, this particular guy has some knowledge on how my real requirements works. Okay, he will try to understand that.
Hello. Moreover, while we are explaining the projects, like we face more questions about API-led connectivity itself, like they try to confuse us. So here, we say that we need experience layer and process layer and system layer. The immediate question will be like, so how in out of 15 APIs you developed, how many system APIs you have developed? These type of questions. So if we say system API, we have developed like a couple of system APIs like that. So then the question will be like again, so you developed a system API, what actually a system API? And if you are using transform message in system API, so you mean to say you developed a process API. In this way, they try to confuse. So what actually that means? Yeah.
See, it is like, see, if you are an interviewer, okay, the moment you are asking some question, if the other person is, trying to explain something, okay, what you will try to do is you will try to, confuse that particular person. So why he's confusing? Is he somewhat funny guy? No. What he was trying to understand is how comfortable you are with that particular concept. Okay, how good you are understanding that particular concept. Okay, the moment we are saying system API, we generally not create any transformation messages in the system API at all. Okay, of only a payload to JSON only we will try to convert. Why we are using application JSON is because if you are converting your payload to application JSON between your experience API to system APIs, it is very lightweight. Okay, you will not pass any XML things or to your internal systems at least. Okay, so it is the bare minimum standard that we are going to follow. Any experience API to system API will try to convert into application JSON formats. Okay, and later point of time in the experience layer, we will try to convert our transformation messages. Okay, so why they will try to confuse is the fundamental thing. The moment you are saying, hey, I created some transformation message in my system API, you're giving some hint that, hey, I'm not pretty much sure about this particular API adopting. Okay. The moment he realized that, hey, you don't have this particular knowledge, he will try to ask so many questions. Okay. The moment you need to realize, hey, I haven't worked on this particular project anymore. So that kind of nature they want to extract from you. Okay. It is not demotivating you. But the thing is, how strong you are into that particular concept, they want to understand it. Okay. So it is not that, hey, if they are confusing some point, okay, what you need to do, if you are strong enough in that particular concept, you can explain that particular thing in a proper way. Okay. And my personal suggestion is, if the interviewer is saying or strongly arguing one thing, okay, don't deny that. Just keep your smile and carry on with that, because so it doesn't make sense to pull him up in some discussion. Okay, our interview should be a plain and simple. Okay, if I know some concept, I'll try to explain. If I don't know, I simply say that I don't know that particular. Okay.
Yes, in
But
that
don't
particular thing, I have answered like, why do you use system API? Then I try to connect external like systems. So we developed a system API upon that. I have answered that, and so yeah.
Yeah. So,
And
I
one
mean,
more
see,
question.
yeah, go on this.
Uh,
Yeah.
if dependencies of same version added in pom.xml multiple times, and what's the error we get?
Sorry.
If dependencies of
A
same version in
conflict resolution
pom.xml.
error will happen in the pom.xml. Okay. Even if you are adding multiple projects with the same name, same group ID, you will get a conflict error, which means that one of the node is conflicting with the other node. Okay. You will get a compilation kind of error. Okay. So what is runtime error and compilation errors, guys? Do you know about this thing?
If we get error at the runtime, then we call it as a runtime errors. When we are compiling the code, if we get error, we call it as a compilation errors.
Okay, so what about a data error and system error? In real-time projects, you will get these things: data error or system error. Or normally we will call it like that.
Error will belongs to business errors, and
if you are passing wrong data, like if it is expecting integer, if you're passing some string or something, so this is wrong data type which we are passing. This is through a data type, data error.
Okay, fine. Okay, so and try to remember this thing. Whenever you are into some project, almost like 98% you will get data errors only. Okay, you will get some expression errors, you will get some other data errors. Your system errors are not too frequent. Okay, so it is very minimal. Okay, but when you will get system errors?
Connectivity issues.
After the code deployment.
Updating issues, right?
Server downtime or DB connectivity.
Yeah, server downtime, or if you are connecting to some external system, you are giving some wrong credentials or something, you will get a system error. Okay. So in general, we'll try to ask about this particular system errors and data errors. Okay. But try to understand that you will max get data errors, guys. Okay. So we need to create our data types properly in our RAML. So that is your gateway to fix most of the data errors. Okay. So take my point, whenever you are developing any API, create your data types. Okay. Create your RAML properly. So it will, filter out most of your errors at that time. Okay. Your API kit router will validate this particular incoming data, and your job is in a happy path. Okay. If you are not defining your data types correctly, your job will be a hell. Okay. You need to deal with all these data errors. Okay. Take my point. So if you are placed into some project, okay, try to focus mainly on your RAML, try to define your RAML properly. Okay. Take my point. All right. Any other question?
I have one question, sir.
Yeah,
two
yeah,
endpoints
Samuel,
ఉంటాయి
go
అంటే
on.
different. So two different systems ఉంటాయి సార్. యాక్చువల్గా మనం రామెల్ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐలో రాసుకున్నప్పుడు అంటే కనెక్ట్ అవ్వడానికి మనం ప్రాసెస్ ఏపీ నుండి కనెక్ట్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు సేమ్ ఎండ్ పాయింట్ యూజ్ చేయొచ్చా అంటే సిస్టమ్ ఏపీని కనెక్ట్ అవ్వడానికి? బట్ ఆ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఎస్ మాత్రం రెండు డిఫరెంట్ ఎండ్ పాయింట్స్ కనెక్ట్ అవుతాయి.
Sorry, Samuel, you're breaking up. Not able to hear you.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుంది?
Yeah, go on.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు యాక్చువల్గా మనకి రెండు డిఫరెంట్ సిస్టమ్స్ నేను కాల్ చేయాలన్నప్పుడు సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ నుండి కాల్ చేయాలి. సో సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐలో కామన్ ఎండ్ పాయింట్ ని యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు అంటే ప్రాసెస్ ఏపీఐ నుండి మనకి రెండు టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ డేటాను పంపించాలి.
So I got your question, but what we need to do is in system API, okay, if the payload or if it is identical payload that we are going to get it from two endpoints, we will try to expose two endpoints from the system API. Okay, if it is some kind of orchestration also, we will try to use a process API to call that particular system API. Okay, so external system ki sambandhinchinanta varaku manam two endpoints ni same system API lo okate flow lo configure cheyam until and unless it is an enrichment. Okay, అంటే ఫస్ట్ వచ్చిన పేలోడ్ లో ఉన్న సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎలిమెంట్స్ తీసుకుని నేను సెకండ్ ఎండ్ పాయింట్ కి అంటే సెకండ్ అదే ఎక్స్టర్నల్ సిస్టమ్ కి మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేయాలన్నప్పుడు మాత్రమే I will try to do this particular. But my cleanest approach is I'm trying to create two endpoints in my system API. ఎందుకంటే I'm trying to interact with my external system like two different objects అయితే, so I will always try to create two endpoints. So
okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so these things you don't require to worry about it. Who is going to worry about these things? Your architect is going to worry about these things. Okay, so you guys are going as a developer, you don't worry about these things. Okay, so it needs to define in your architectural law. Okay,
is it possible to create two endpoints in the same system API? Same endpoints?
No, I don't think so. It will restrict you. You can create multiple methods, multiple HTTP methods with the same resource.
Okay. Same resource with multiple HTTP methods.
Let us say I'm interacting with my customer data. Let us say I'm interacting with my Oracle system. I will try to create /accounts. That is my resource. Okay, this is my RESTful API development. So for that particular account, I need to have get method, post method, delete method, something like that. I have different HTTP methods. I'll not have the same resource with same method. Okay, you will get a compilation error or runtime error. What you will get?
It will say something like compilation error duplicate.
Okay, all right. Any other question, guys?
One question related with the project. So what should be the approach if we are migrating our existing SOA integration interfaces with ERP to MuleSoft because of scalability and code changing, multiple existing issues with the SOA integration? So what should be the approach?
See, the approach is something like the object notation, Abhishek. Okay, see, any ESB, end of the day, they are dealing with objects or entities. Some fellows will call entities, some fellows will call objects, some fellows will call resources. Okay, you need to create your systems using those entities, okay, or resources. Why we are creating resources or entities? Entities are nothing but a table or relational database management system that we define in any of the software. Okay, so you are interacting with SAP, you are interacting with anything. Internally, what it will have a database and you are publishing your data to those tables. Okay, you need to create your system APIs based upon entity level. Okay, so if you are creating that way, what you can achieve is you can achieve reusability. Okay, so if I'm an architect, I will try to look at these particular entities and I will try to create system APIs based upon these entities like resources. Okay, so that I can create multiple experience APIs, but I can reuse the same system API with the same resource.
So system API, it means WSDL resources existing.
Yeah, so if your server is properly an object notation model, it is already there. So you can adopt to that particular model. But if it is not aligned to this particular object notation model, you need to create in our MuleSoft. Okay.
Okay. So my
whenever there is
understanding is
a
that
migration, guys.
we should proceed
sorry.
with the SOAP services, or we need to starting from the scratch RAML designing regarding
Don't
that.
go for SOAP services, guys. Okay. So
okay.
why? Because see, whenever they are asking what is the fundamental difference, why we are going with SOAP RESTful, not using SOAP, the answer that you need to get is, whenever you are calling a SOAP service, what you need to do, you need to give a service URL. Okay. Visible document, you will try to expose it. You will try to select a function, which service you want to call. Okay. But internally, what it will try to do is, this particular service, it needs to be processed in the external server. Okay. What is this particular service? What it will try to do? What kind of data type it will try to do? All this particular calculation, it needs to do it in the external system. Okay. If you are using a RESTful API, you are clearly defining in calling itself. You are interacting with this particular resource, this method, this data type. Okay. So this particular additional computation, it will not happen in your external system. Okay. So this is the major bottleneck for your service latency. Okay. Don't go for SOAP services. See, whenever you are going to any projects, there will be very less number of SOAP services. Are mostly dealing with our RESTful APIs. Okay. Don't ever go with SOAP services. That's mostly like if you are building your application from scratch.
Okay, that suffice. Thank you.
Yep. Yes,
I have one doubt. So we have workers, right? So on what basis we will change the worker size?
Okay, full. Okay. So there is something like they will try to ask you what is a vertical, what is that? Vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. You guys know, right? Okay. See, you need to explain this way. So if you need to do more computation on the payload, or if you are pushing a huge payload, what you need to do? You need to do the vertical computation, your vertical scaling, which means that you are increasing the computation of that particular instance. Okay. So if you want to process multiple requests, what you will try to do? You will try to increase the horizontal scaling, which means that you will try to create multiple workers. Okay. So if your payload is big, your payload is increasing, go with vertical computation. Okay. Your vertical scaling, because your computing power is increased in vertical manner. If you want to process multiple requests in a single minute of time or stipulated time, go with multiple workers. Okay. This is the fundamental difference. More computation, vertical scaling, more number of requests, horizontal scaling. Simple enough.
If request load is increasing, then we can go for the horizontal. If payload is high, then we can go for vertical. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
On the same way, like another question. So on what basis we will increase the in batch size?
Okay, so generally, if I have some API, okay, if someone is saying that, hey, your API is not performant, okay, what I will try to do is how many resources I exposed in that particular API. Okay, so if I have a project, let us say I have only one API which is getting 100 requests. Okay, which means that in a minute of time, I will get only 100 requests that particular jar altogether. Okay. If I have 20 APIs in my system API, okay. And for each API, if I am getting something like 20 requests, okay, 120 is less compared, but 20 into 20 is something like 400 requests I am getting it. So I need to compare how many requests that I am going to get it from each individual API and how many number of APIs I have it I need to consider that thing, and I need to increase my worker size or my vertical scaling also. I need to do it. Okay. So this particular thing, what we call it as non-functional requirement text, NFR. Okay. So
Amarnath,
this
not
particular
asking this one.
NFR, where we will have it is your functional design documents. Okay. We'll try to learn more about these functional design documents and how to scale this particular thing.
Amarnath, actually, I'm asking about the batch processing. Batch processing, we will change the batch size, right? For example, now I'm for my request, I'm sending 1,000 records. Maybe it's increasing after maybe 10,000. So it's only based upon the size of the payload which we are getting. Based upon that, we will change the batch size, or on what basis we will change the batch size?
So the batch size, I need to consider whether my system is able to do the bulk insert or not. Okay. If it is not doing a bulk insert, even if I change the batch block size, it doesn't matter. A fraction of seconds will be increased. Okay. So if I'm able to make it as batch aggregator, and if my external system is trying to capable of how many requests it is trying to pass it, let us say if we are using a database connector, okay, what it will try to do, it will have a bulk insert method. Okay. If you have Salesforce connector, it will have bulk insert. Okay. But if you have a RESTful API, which is only taking one request at a time, okay, even if you are changing the batch block size, it doesn't matter. So it will try to, improve your application performance very minimal. Okay. So based upon my batch aggregator, I need to define my batch size. You got it?
Oh, yeah,
so I will sync up my batch size and my batch aggregator. That is the balancing.
Okay. See, in same way, for example, now in Salesforce, we have a bulk insert only, but we don't have a bulk update, right? So if we want to do bulk update for the Salesforce, what option we have?
So you can go with the custom RESTful API. So we implemented this thing. Okay. So glad you asked. Okay. You can have a custom implementation RESTful API. You can create it out of the box in SFDs. Okay. So it will try to take your collection of elements at a time. Okay. But you need to make sure that your, the whole batch that you're processing to the RESTful API should not exceed it to something like 10 MB. Okay. If you are exceeding 10 MB, you will have a network latency. Okay. You need to consider your how much payload that you are trying to pass.
In that case, we can write a functionality like this. Right? If it is crossing 1,000 records, then we can repeat it again the same for next 1,000 records like that.
No. So basically this particular batch update, okay, whatever you are trying to get you. So your custom RESTful API will take all these records. It will try to insert and it will give you the response back saying that what are the records that got failed. Okay. You will try to handle that particular response in your next batch step.
Okay. Okay.
You got it.
I have one doubt regarding this batch process. So
okay.
We have in batch process, we have options like failure, no failure records so that we can see non-complete. But we have to pass the request like in sequential order, records in sequential. So if we go for each and some records got failed. So how do you handle that? We use like database insert in for each scope for processing few records and some records were failed. How do you handle that using for each?
So for each, if you want to have sequential mechanism, obviously for each will have sequential mechanism. Okay. But the drawback for your for each is if one of the record is failing middle of it, what it will happen? It will not process the next set of records. Okay. What you need to have is you need to create a separate flow and you need to have that particular flow called as flow reference in your for each state. Okay. And inside that particular new flow, you need to have your try scope with a on error continue. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
So this will suffice your, sequential execution and it will not, fail if one of the record got failed. Okay. It will keep on continuing because you will have your on error continue. Okay.
So you use on error continue. So one record got failed and other records got processed, and the requirement is that you need not to lose your record like customer details. So one record got failed and not executed. So we can use object store for that storing and retrieving on later upon.
In this particular scenario, if I'm an architect, how I will try to define this particular process flow is, I'll try to have a first in, first out queue in my any point M. Okay. So obviously your client will have purchased this particular MuleSoft. Okay. They will, by default, they will try to get this particular licensing with a very low cost, any point M. Okay. So I can use my first in, first out queue with a DL queue attached to it. Okay. And I will have my flow level, I will try to configure with a multi-threading as 1. Okay. And my pool size in the subscriber with 1. And I will have my circuit breaker also to be handled. Okay. So all this particular configuration is complicated, maybe for some of the guys who are not able to understand what is this any point M queue and first in, first out queue. But maybe Charan, you might get it, right?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so it's more or less not kind of demo. Most of the persons are interacting, so I'm pretty much happy, guys. Okay, see, the moment you have some questions, don't try to hesitate that, hey, if I'm asking this particular question, someone will laugh or something like that. Don't hesitate to ask that particular question. Okay, so if you are missing this particular session, maybe in next session, you might not get this particular time. Okay. So whatever the questions that you have, try to ask me, feel free. Okay. And if you guys are comfortable to come to the offline sessions, it is more or less good enough. Why? Because it is not just like, interacting with you, but it is more or less, we'll try to work with you. Okay. So we will try to ask some of the things needs to be developed, something like that. We'll try to assess you. We'll try to guide you how to develop your real-time application.
Hello.
Yeah,
one question.
Yeah.
The default batch size, it will take 100 maximum size in batch step.
Amarnath, I have one question. Shall I?
Just a moment. Someone is asking. I believe Rashid, right?
Yes. The default size in batch step, it takes 100. I want to increase to 1000. How I will increase? Is it possible?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
In batch step, in batch processing, it will take 100 as default, 100 as queue size.
You can increase the batch block size, Rashid. Okay. Yeah. And if you want to consolidate your payload, you will have a batch aggregator. There you can specify how many records you need to take into consideration for batch insert or bulk insert. Okay, you can make use of batch aggregator. Okay,
batch
and you will have something like streaming also.
Okay, it will take in batch step, it will batch processing, it is taking 100. In batch aggregator, I keep 1000 like that. You say it's taken as bulk data.
To be precise, it is a misconfiguration in your batch step. Okay. Yeah. So you need to configure your batch block size higher, your batch aggregator lower to your batch size, whatever you're configuring. Hello.
No, his question is, can we increase the block size, batch block size?
Yeah,
it
we
is
can
maximum
increase
100. How can we can increase that one? It is. I think it is maximum 100 only, na block size.
Batch block size.
Yes, by default it is 100. Can we increase to 1000?
Default it will be 100, and can we increase it?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe batch block size is 100, right? Max.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you need to compliance with your batch size, and you need to configure your batch aggregate within that particular limit. Okay. What will happen is, if you are enabling streaming or anything inside your batch aggregator, it will try to stop that particular batch aggregate to accumulate this particular payload. Okay. Once that is done, so what it will try to do, it will consolidate that particular payload. Okay. So it is within your batch block size limit. So that is the least configuration that I will try to do.
Okay, thank you.
I think believe we have almost a full session. Okay.
Hi.
Okay. So yeah, Srilekha. You
Yeah,
have
will you
some question?
yeah, in the future classes, will you explain about the testing and all that means environments we will deploy, right? And the environment and the testing and
Yeah.
production.
So let me open my application, which we this is the last class that we have it. Okay. So let me open it.
And can I know in the real-time scenarios, we will be use the MUnit recorder only for the MUnit testing, or we either do the manual thing?
Okay. So in initial, last 1.5 years, we are trying to use the MUnit recorder. 1 year, I believe. Okay. So earlier we used to create MUnits by using manual process. Okay. So it is very hectic. Okay. But still we will try to create it using that thing. So there is one more option, that is something like scaffolding your MUnits. Okay. And in general, what we will try to do is in your real-time project, we will try to record MUnits only. Why? Because if you are not recording your MUnits, it will take bare minimum 3 days for your actual jar to be completed. So in your real-time projects, they will try to have something like 80% of the coverage they need it. Okay. And so we will try to use the anypoint, MUnit recorder.
But in
Okay.
recorder, we
And
cannot
we will
test
try to
error
use this
scenarios.
particular multiple environments, and we will try to configure these environment properties also, guys. Okay. So it is not just like, we are sticking to some environment and we will not, expose to some other environment. So we will try to tell you how to, deploy your application to multiple environments. What is the use case? How to, import it from the another environment. Okay. So all these things we will try to cover. So we'll have multiple environments, but so at least what we were trying to expect from you guys is you need to practice it. Okay. Whatever we are trying to tell you. So if you can practice it, the same thing you can, visualize that particular thing, and you can, exhibit the same thing in your interviews as well as in your real-time projects. Okay. If you don't practice it, you are just listening to the class. It doesn't help you or me in both cases. Okay. So whatever we are trying to explain it, try to practice it so that you will have a full benefit of this particular classes. Yeah.
Hello.
I believe,
I have one doubt.
Yeah.
By using MUnit recorder, we cannot perform the test for error scenarios. How can we test for error scenarios?
Okay, so let me open up my last class, which is yesterday, and we'll try to show you that. Meanwhile, anyone can produce something. I mean, so if you have any other questions, you can ask me. Let me open my anypoint student.
Hey Amar, I have a small question. Like, if the interviewer asks like what you do in the MuleSoft, only the answer is we create APIs, or do we have any other answers also?
Yeah, the simplest question is you will try to create APIs. That's it. Nothing else you will try to create it. Okay. You are trying to
What
see
kind of APIs you
something
create?
like, sorry.
What kind of APIs you create if we ask like that?
Okay, so what kind of APIs? Okay, so generally, what kind of see when I'm saying APIs, what it will try to do? It will try to pass some kind of data from one particular system to the other system. Okay, you're creating a data APIs in your MuleSoft. Okay, by using your RESTful APIs or any other transport. Okay, what are the other transports that we can, at least know aware of? We know FTP, we know JMS, okay, we know HTTP, HTTPS, what else? Okay, so these kind of protocols, we are trying to use it and we are creating data APIs. Okay, so in most of your real-time projects are relating to your data, nothing else. Okay, see, anything that you're transforming from one particular location to the other location in our IT world or this particular computer era, it is nothing but data ultimately. Okay, whether you are converting your binary data to some other thing, so everything is related to your data. Okay, so we are creating data APIs in your MuleSoft. Okay, and some fellows will try to tell we are creating UI, something, mobile applications, web applications. No, we are not creating anything inside our Mule applications. We are creating APIs only. Okay, please make sure that you stick to this particular thing. Okay. So let me open my MUnit test.
Use MuleSoft, sir.
Sorry.
What daily apps? Which apps will use MuleSoft? Like, can you say any examples?
Which apps?
Yeah, which applications use MuleSoft?
Okay, see, I'll tell you one thing. So the real-time applications, when you're actually working on some project, there will be something like 200, 300 experience APIs guys. Okay, so something like 150 system APIs will be there. It is not a simple projects or very small projects will try to use MuleSoft or any ESP. So whenever there is a huge number of applications, there will be some Java applications, some ERP applications. They will try to implement Mule ESPs. A small projects will have, but it will not have too many end systems. Okay. So ideally, when you are, someone is hiring you as a MuleSoft developer, you need to create multiple experience APIs, multiple system APIs. Okay. So in general, you need to create multiple APIs. It is not a simple, small applications or real-time applications are actually using ESPs. Okay. So if they really want to implement ESPs, the cost is not that much prominent. So they can go for any other small things. Java applications or .NET applications also, we can create data APIs. Okay. They can go for it. They will not, purchase MuleSoft or something like, they will not implement like that. Okay. So there are some huge number of external applications are there. Then only they will try to implement ESP, not only MuleSoft, any other ESP, they will only go when they have multiple integrations that is in place. Okay. And this is one of the, this thing, guys, one of the MUnit to create a exception scenario. Okay. So if I run this particular thing, so I need to have something like a minimum requirement of 80%. Okay. So if I'm trying to create flows for my MUnits for my only successful case, I'm not getting any coverage. Okay. So I created some APIs or some MUnits for failure scenarios also. You can create failure scenarios also. Okay. What you need to do is you need to throw something, okay, using your mock exception. Okay. Mock when we will use it, and we are going to throw some error by default. The moment it is going to that particular component, we are throwing this particular error. So you can create both success scenarios and failure scenarios also. You will create MUnits. Okay. Please make sure to understand this. Okay. If you are only creating for success scenarios, you will not get 80%. You will get something like 60% or 65%. Okay. You need to cover all the scenarios.
Yeah, you
You're able to see
created
the
by
screen, right?
using you created this by using MUnit recorder only, right?
Sorry.
You created this error scenario also by using the recorder, right?
Yeah, MUnit recorder also I created this thing. Okay, I modified something. Okay, so there is some modifications that we need to do, and there will be some a small shortcut also there to make sure that you got your 80% coverage. Okay, we'll try to discuss more on this thing. I mean, so at least these things we will try to discuss on last classes. Why? Because our initial classes are more or less like you need to understand the API-led connectivity, how we are going to develop our applications. Then we are going with MUnits, your CI/CD pipelines, and then the rest of the other things. Okay, how you're applying your securities. Okay, these things we will try to cover it. See, this is not just like explaining some project. Hey, this project will be something like this. So I'll not simply show that. Okay, I'll try to implement some of the APIs so that you need to implement the similar way by using recordings, and you need to understand your concepts. Then only you can explain the same thing to your interviews. Okay, and you can sustain with this particular knowledge inside your projects. Okay, because I personally feel that the moment I see some fellow developers that are coming into projects, they don't know anything about this thing. Even I personally have many people who are just learned MuleSoft and they came into projects. Okay, we try to train them sometimes. Okay, I know what are the issues they face, what level they will understand Mule. Okay, so that's why we try to clear it out in this particular sessions. Okay, so this particular sessions are who are already aware of Mule. Okay, so the basic stuff they need to aware of it so that it will have a full potential of this particular classes. All right. Okay, so someone is asking how to validate APIs. Okay, the bare minimum validation, I will try to do it in Ramels. That is my first point of validation that I will try to take, because API kit router will automatically do it. Okay, the next kind of validation where I will try to do, I will try to do it in data.
Hello.
Okay, yeah.
What is the use of Mule? Now we are using Java this on. Then why we have to choose Mule?
Sorry, whoever is talking here, their voice is too low.
What is the use of Mule?
Okay, what is the use of Mule? Okay, cool.
We have Java this on. Then why?
Okay, so you have your Java application. Why we are using Mule? Okay, let us say
but not integration. I don't want in a single word like integration purpose like that. In a different.
Okay, so Rashid, to be precise, I'm also a Java developer. Okay, so we try to create in my second company, I try to create let us say something like 12 APIs. Okay, I have done that particular thing in my 2 years of tenure. Okay, if I gave those 12 APIs in my MuleSoft, I'll try to create it within a month or something. I'll try to finish it off everything, MUnits, everything. Okay, then you tell me now, what is the use of Mule now?
Easily.
Okay, so as a developer, is my company's bear me for 2 years for developing these 12 APIs or 20 APIs, or they are good with my experience or this particular Mule? If they can adopt it, they can give me a month's salary and they can finish it off that particular project. Okay, but project billing standpoint of view, you can say, hey, that 2 years is more beneficial to my company, your company. Okay, but not for your client. Okay, the client is the one who is giving the requirements, not your company. Okay, so I can adopt Mule rather than going for any Java developer. Okay, so you can see multiple projects are migrating from Java to Mule, not from Mule to Java. Fair enough, Rashid?
As a developer, hello, I'm audible? Yes, sir. Yes. I have another question. As a developer, in which part we have to implement, not exactly in the coding like that, security part like that, design part, in Mule only I'm asking. Most of the sense where
most of the time
concentrate.
you will try to most of the time you will try to focus on your designing of your RAML. The second that timeline that you are mostly trying to push yourself is maintaining your API, which means that you pushed it to production, okay, or else you pushed it to some environment. There you will see multiple errors, data errors, system errors, okay. You will try to focus more on not implementing it, but more or less designing and maintaining it, okay. So if someone is giving some API to ask me to implement it, I'll mostly take it something like hardly like 5 to 6 hours hardly, okay. But to make that particular API, once I deployed it, I'll mostly try to take a week's time to fix some issues, okay, to make it ready with that, okay. So it's not just like development that you are mostly involving it, but you are mostly spending your time designing it and maintaining that particular API, okay. How to maintain that particular API, what are the standards that you need to apply, so we'll try to see.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Kishore will have some some words that he wants to push it, okay. So maybe after 10 minutes I will try to take it, okay. So just hold on a minute.
Okay, guys, thank you for attending this session. So here what we'll do, we are going to provide, everything in real time. Like initially, the moment you joined any organization, what you will do, you will get some HLD. What do you mean by HLD?
High level diagram.
Sorry?
High level document.
High level document. Okay, so the document we are going to provide here, and we will provide you some technical document, functional documents, and as well as here we are not going to explain the project. What we are going to do here, based on that document, we are going to create a story or theory in the Jira board, right? So after that, that story is going to assign to you guys. Okay, so after that, we are going to start that implementation, so that here what you will feel, you will get, like how you are working in the organization, same feel you will go to get it over here. Okay, so proper documents, all the interview questions, everything we are going to provide here. And daily, see if some guys already, attending interviews, right? You can take up that questions. Okay, so whatever the questions you have, we are going to help you. Okay, so that you can crack the interview very easily. Okay.
What about the fees?
Okay, 1 second. I think some people joined from different group, right? Okay, for more details, so you can contact me. Okay, please make a note this number, or you just take a snap. Okay, and you can contact me so that I'm going to help you. Okay, so here we do have online session and as well as offline session. So in offline session, what you will get extra benefit here. Okay, here you will get 1.5 hour extra time, so that we are going to allocate you some task on real-time basis, so that you can work on it. Okay, even if you take online also, we are going to give the task, but we cannot validate one by one. Okay, if you guys come here, what we will do, we are going to validate your code, whatever you wrote. Okay, whether it is RAM or whatever it may. Okay, clear? So
You are from which location?
Location will be Pragati Nagar, near to JNTU. You just contact to me, so that I'm going to provide this, location and everything. Okay, so Monday also you can attend one more free class. Okay, so it will be again 2 to 4 p.m. so that there we are going to showcase you the project. Okay. Okay, guys. Any other questions? Okay, you can text me. This is my WhatsApp number, and you can directly reach out to this number. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys, thank you. I'm gonna share this, recording soon. Okay, so that you can go through this recording as.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you. You want to share? Okay, guys. One second. So, if you guys have any other question, you can feel free to ask me, guys. Okay, I'm back, and you can ask me anything. Soumya, you are asking something?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go on, Nose.
Yeah. Who will validate our ramen, sir?
So I personally here, okay, so I'm going to validate it. Okay, so if you are coming to the this thing, okay, if you are coming to the offline classes, so I will be there. Okay, so I can assist you that.
What's the duration of the class?
See, duration depends upon so how much interest you are paying, guys. Okay, so if you are want to learn some more things, okay, so it would be something like so daily it will have at least 2 hours session. Okay, it will extend sometimes we will try to take it out something like 3 hours, something like that. Okay, but so if you are coming to the offline sessions, it is more or less beneficial. Okay, so if you are sticking to online sessions, it is something like we will try to explain something and you need to practice on your own. Okay, so at least bare minimum, it will take 2 hours of time and it will scatter something like 35 days.
Okay. Only Monday to Friday, Amarnath?
Yeah, mostly Monday to Friday. And if you guys are interested, so I'm happy to assist you on Saturday also. Okay. So the previous batch is fine with Saturdays. So we try to extend it on Saturdays. But sometimes we do have some interviews to be conducted. So at that time, so we'll not have on Saturdays.
Fine. Then for online class people, if they will get stuck somewhere, then how we are going to help out them?
So that's why we are trying to ask you to come to the offline sessions. Okay.
Is
But
it okay if we come intermittently to office?
that is also fine. But so it depends upon your schedules and so
No,
we don't have
we
any
are
concern.
allowed, right?
Yeah,
Even if
you guys are allowed. Okay, so it doesn't have a separate fee or something. Okay, you can feel free to come to the offline session also.
Okay, thank you.
If there is no possibility to come to institute and all, then how Amarnath, how we are going to help out them?
Okay, so if it is like a 5 minutes or 10 minutes thing that if I can fix it, I can fix it through a remote session or something. Okay. But we mind that even I might not get that much time if multiple people are asking the same kind of stuff. Okay. So that's why if you guys are coming to the offline session, I can easily interact with you. Okay.
Amarnath, I mean, last
Yeah. Yeah, no issue. Go on.
I can see almost all of the people are like experienced ones, or else almost they have finished their courses, and some are like looks like attending the interviews. So they came up with many questions and many solutions, and but we are new to Mule. So how we are going to follow from step by step? We are following.
Hello.
Okay, so I mean, so you guys are completely new to the Mule, or you learned something and you are not gone to the interviews?
Yeah, I have attended few of the classes somewhere, and also same in the same. I am following the materials which we have free courses, right? I know what is what. But
Okay.
even I don't have any real-time experience like IT experience. So in that case, how we are going to explain all these concepts? If we are going to explain in a higher level, then it is not.
No, so it is not a higher level. Okay, so whoever came to the last sessions, if you know, so ask them. So I will try to explain in each property level, not like, so we are trying to cover it at high level. Okay. So if we are explaining a HTTP request or a Salesforce connector or anything, so I will try to explain in more or less, so my level of teaching is something like it is trying to understand the concept rather than sticking to some definitions or something. Okay, so I'll try to explain that. Okay, so it is not like I will try to explain at higher level, trying to say, hey, this particular thing will work, something like this. I'll not go that kind of route. Okay, so if we are sticking to that route, so we don't require these many hours or these many days. Okay, we'll complete this particular session something like 15 hours or 20 hours of time. Okay, so if we are just explaining what is API and how we are creating it. Okay, so it is a full explanation, and you will not regret to attend these sessions. I'm pretty much sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amar, how can we secure our APIs other than that applying policies?
See, so it will have different flavors. So who is asking this question? Okay. Yeah, Jyoti. So we do have a different mechanisms altogether, Jyoti. So in real-time applications, some will use OAuth. Okay, some will use VPCs with the IP whitelisting, IP blacklisting. Okay, some will use this particular some other mechanism, HTTPS or something like that. See, we'll try to cover the bare minimum most of the projects that we are using this particular security. Okay, so from project to project it will vary, but most of the things we will try to cover it. Okay, so some fellows will try to use what to be precise. Okay, but that particular service we can't create it on the fly, but we will try to explain it. Okay, sometimes we will try to stick to this particular client ID, client secret compliance. Okay, we will try to create it that way. So we will try to explain in each and every aspect that you are ready with your projects. Okay, not like you are learning something and you are not sure what in the real-time projects will be. Okay, so it is in line with your projects, and we will try to explain each and everything. But to answer your question, so it will vary from project to project, but we will try to see what are the most projects that we deal with, and what are the most projects are having this particular security profile. We are trying to configure it that way.
Okay, if you don't mind, can you like much elaborated on that? Oath means that authorization only?
Yeah.
Achha,
Which
okay.
means that single sign-on servers will be configured, which is having a token validation URL, and there is something like token generation URL. Okay, so whenever some client is authorizing you with your API, okay, before that they will try to get the token by calling this particular token generation URL, by calling username and password, or sometimes they will configure client enforcement, something like that. So once they got that particular token, they will try to utilize this particular token validation URL. Whether your user is active, your token is active, so it will try to validate it, and it will allow you to go into the MuleSoft API Git router. So this particular validation, it will try to do it before that. Hello.
Yeah, got it. Got it. Yeah.
All right.
Hello,
Thank
Amar.
you.
Yeah,
I have another question. Right, I am a tester. I have ISTQB certification.
Okay.
In Mule, is any certification like that to do international standard level?
I mean, so we do have MuleSoft certifications, but to be precise, so I'm not sure what your certification is meant for.
International, like I done international software testing qualifications.
Okay, so we do have something like a different level of certifications. Okay, whoever is asking this question.
Rashid,
So yeah, Rashid. So we do have architect level of certification where you need to create this particular architecture. Okay, it's all about like how you are designing your APIs. Okay, there will be something like a developer level of certifications where we have our so it is mostly concerned about your developer fundamentals. Okay, recently they adopted something like MCD level 2. So till now what we are aware of is MCD level 1 certification. Okay, so there is something like MCD level 2 also. Okay, and so there is something like platform architect. Okay, so these are like so it is not only valid for India or something like, so it is validated across your board. So it is something like a certification is not meant for something like a country specific. It is meant for all. Okay, so you can do that particular certification, but if you are going with a developer role, so you need to have something like a MCD level. Okay, so it is not mandatory, but whenever some companies will try to ask you this to filter out the profiles. Okay, so because most of the people will try to learn something from outside, so they do have this particular filtration.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
So how many projects are you planning to explain?
Okay, so I will try to explain like 9 different APIs, 6 different APIs on one particular project. Yes, sir. Okay, so there is one more project which is having 3 more APIs, which is having different connectors, which you might not aware of as of now. Okay, so we'll try to cover most of the things. Okay, so it is not just like sticking to one RESTful API or something like a database connector, something like that. So it is mix of everything. So we will try to expose you to process APIs. We will try to expose you FTPs, SFDCs, and everything. And we will try to explain how this particular things is, your project standard APIs that we are trying to create. Okay, so at least bare minimum, I will try to explain most of the things, but even I will try to give you some use cases that you need to, practice. All right. Okay, fine, guys. So I'm stopping the session now. Okay. So we'll have one more session on Monday. Okay, feel free to join. So whatever the questions that you have, you can ask me. Okay, I'm happy to answer your questions. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Thank you, Amar.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.